Joseph Washington, 29 years of age, from New Orleans, has been taken into custody and charged with 3 counts of second-degree murder, 3 counts of second-degree cruelty to a juvenile, and 1 count of aggravated arson after he turned himself into police in regards to setting fire to a home in which his ex-wife and 3 children lived. He owned the house. I'm not 100% sure if he lived in it. There was a restraining order against him. I'm assuming he didn't live in it. Could be wrong. He handed himself into police in regards to setting fire to that home. His ex-wife wasn't present at the home at the time of the fire, but his 3 children were, and they were left to die. They were 8, 5, and 3 years of age, left to die in a burning home that he owned and he seemingly set on fire himself. The suspect, Joseph Washington, fled the scene in a Dodge Charger, and that car was found floating in the river. He handed himself in to police. He was hospitalized for a period of time. I'm not quite sure how long, but he is now in police custody, and again, he's been charged with 3 counts of second-degree murder, 3 counts of second-degree cruelty to a juvenile, and 1 count of aggravated arson in regards to setting his own home on fire and in so doing killing his own 3 children. We're told that a call came into the fire department at 11:55 p.m. Tuesday night, that's last Tuesday, but fire officials didn't arrive until nearly 20 minutes later, 12:14 a.m. Emergency medical services didn't arrive until a further 15 minutes later at 12:29 a.m. So there are question marks as to why there was such a slow response time. If the response time was sooner, if the fire department, if police, if the ambulances had gotten there sooner, could the children have been saved? There's a question mark there. So we are told that there is an investigation in regards to the slow response times. I wouldn't necessarily jump to the conclusion that the fire department, police, and emergency medical services are to blame, but it is certainly something that needs to be looked at. We're told that one of the children was found dead near the center of the house. The 2 other children were found unconscious near the front door, and we've been told that they have all been pronounced dead. The 3 children are 2 boys and 1 girl, aged 8, 5, and 3 years of age. Again, we are told that the mother was not at the home at the time that the fire started. So there is a blessing, but a very, very, very dark cloud. The mother has lost her 3 children as well as her home. Her ex-husband is in police custody. Her life has been absolutely torn to shreds. What would that do to a human's mentality? It's just going to break her whole understanding of the world. I would imagine, not sure if YouTube would like me to say this explicitly, but I would imagine it's going to bring on some incredibly dark thoughts. The mother's going to question why she should move forward. I'm being a little bit vague purposefully. The horror, the loss of her 3 children, the complete destruction of her entire life. I don't know anything about the mother, but I would guess that to a very, very large extent, her life was revolving around her 3 children, who I presume she loved incredibly much. And they've all died in this absolutely horrendous way. I do feel incredibly sorry for the mother. I hope that she has the support that she needs. She's going to need all of the support in the world. I would presume this would bring on a very severe depression, a very severe mental breakdown, and one which she may never recover from. I hope she does, of course, but she's never going to recover from this fully. She's going to feel the sadness of the horrendous loss of her 3 children every moment of every day. She's going to feel that sadness. Anger at the suspect, Joseph Washington, her ex-husband, but probably, I would imagine, angry at life itself, angry at God. I can't imagine. Just unbearable. The article tells us a little bit about the ex-husband, Joseph Washington. In divorce filings, the mother claimed that Joseph Washington repeatedly hit, choked, and stalked her, threatened to kill her, and threatened to kill the 3 children. She eventually filed for a restraining order, and that needs to be considered. This is another example of restraining orders failing to work. Don't get me wrong, I'm not blaming the legal system in this regard, and I'm not going to pretend that I'm an expert at these things, but seemingly restraining orders are there to help, and I'm sure they do a certain percentage of the time. I would imagine the vast majority of the time restraining orders are effective in keeping parties separate from each other. If you have a restraining order and you break that restraining order, you can find legal repercussions, criminal repercussions. Perhaps you'll be jailed or such. So I would imagine that serves as a great deterrent in most cases, but unfortunately not all. Sometimes it seems that restraining orders can act as a provocation. I do know that over the last couple of months I've gone over several articles in which the perpetrators have committed their heinous, violent, murderous acts, sometimes within hours of a restraining order or a custody battle being decided upon. Earlier this week I made a video in regards to somebody that shot a judge, killed a judge, a couple of hours after a custody order. The person concerned lost custody of his children, so he went out and shot the judge, killed the judge. So these legal decisions are there to help, but unfortunately they don't always work. And again, I'm not trying to blame the legal system. I presume if there was a better way of doing things, we'd perhaps have figured it out, but seemingly there isn't. The article tells us that indeed the mother is in hospital on suicide watch, and that does not surprise me in the least. I would imagine that she needs to be heavily sedated. Again, I don't know what I'm talking about, but just the absolute obliteration of her understanding of life, just the mix of emotions, anger, sorrow, just it's enough to turn somebody insane. So I wish her all the best. We're not told of any GoFundMe. I mention that because the mother's financial situation has been obliterated, but we're not told of a GoFundMe. I'm going to wrap things up at this point. If you guys appreciate the coverage, please do like, comment, subscribe, share the video as you see fit. If you're in a position to consider joining my memberships, please do consider that. If you're able to drop a super thanks, that would be great. But of course, it's perfectly fine if you're not able to do those things. So I'll thank you for your time and take care.